Let's get it. Today we are going to be doing an update on the markets, my 1K to 10K swing trading challenge, and my 1K to 10K staking challenge. It's going to be an all-in-one encompassing video, so let's go. What is up everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Cabin. My name is Tom, and in today's video we're going to be giving a quick update on the market as a whole, my 1K to 10K staking challenge, and my 1K to 10K swing trading challenge. If you're new to this channel, please scroll on down, leave this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, then click that little notification bell and select all so you get notified for when I post these new videos. So without any further ado, let's jump right in here. So let's start off with the cryptocurrency markets as a whole. This is what I think everybody wants to know. I had somebody ask what my opinion on it is, and this is a very, very tricky time. This is something that, everybody always says that it is different, and I completely agree to a certain extent. There are a lot of things going on in the world right now that are new for the current time and what's going on. So what I mean by that is, yes, we have maybe seen a pandemic before, but not while, there was this much hype around cryptocurrency and stuff like that. This cryptocurrency has not gone through a really big, kind of pandemic type phase. Also, with the amount of turmoil between Russia and Ukraine, cryptocurrency hasn't really been through a time where there's just been this much turmoil and uncertainty out there, I don't think. So there is a ton of that going on right now. However, there have been times where we obviously go through fear, uncertainty, and doubt as well in the past. Maybe not to this extent, but we have gone through this sort of thing before. And what happened when we went through that? Well, we did end up bouncing back. That is not to say that we can't go lower. However, we do have some similarities here. So when we look way back at the last time we were this low, especially on the momentum wave and the RSI, we haven't been this low since back here in March of 2020, which was the C dump. You'll also notice back here that we didn't get a big green dot below like we did on these other ones. This big green dot shows up when we have that bullish divergence coming up on the momentum waves, but this time we did not get that big green dot yet either. So we are similar in that regard. The RSI also is at a very similar level, or was at a very similar level to where we were at back then as well. Of course, this is talking about Bitcoin specifically, but the crypto markets as a whole show a very similar picture as well. So again, right back here in March, we had that really big low, and we are very, very similar in terms of the momentum wave and also with getting that green dot as of today. So I am expecting a bounce back up for the crypto markets, which we are seeing. So back on, I think it was a live stream that I did a few days ago before the weekend, I did it on TikTok, and a lot of people were asking, what do I think and stuff like that. And what I mentioned there was, like, for the entire crypto market space, once we broke down out of this support box, I was expecting us to come down to this $1.5 trillion level. And if we broke through there, we could see further downside into this box down here, which is just above 1 trillion. And what we got was a perfect bounce basically off of that $1.5 trillion level. And for Bitcoin, it was very, very similar. Obviously not 1.5 trillion, but we did get a pretty big bounce. We did come all the way down to 33,000. Obviously, a lot of people were calling for that. And I believe on my live stream as well, I said 33 to 34K. If that doesn't hold, this down to 30K, about 29 to 31K is the next range, of course. If we don't hold that, it doesn't look good, in my humble opinion, because there isn't a ton of level of support really throughout this whole range between 20 and 30. It kind of just went straight up. So with that being said, we could come all the way back down and find some support or find a fight around 20,000. That is if this support is broken here, and then also the 29 to 31K range doesn't hold as well, then I could see us shooting straight down. It obviously depends a lot on what is happening in the world, what goes on with Russia, Ukraine. There's obviously the Fed as well that is doing, they've named that they're going to be increasing interest rates and stuff like that. And there's a lot of fear that there is going to be a crypto winter coming. When we do look at the market as a whole, or Bitcoin as a whole, when we go to the weekly, I will show you what I'm looking at here. So on the weekly time frame, we have not gotten that green dot yet. Some people were asking me in my Telegram group when, why do these green dots form? Well, when you look at this kind of lighter band, when that crosses over and turns into blue, that is when we get that green dot showing up on the momentum wave. And then when it transitions back from this darker, well, on the top anyway, it's again when it transitions from light to dark blue. When it's up top, then that gives you that red dot up here. So it's basically whenever we change from light to dark or dark to light, that is when we get those little dots popping up there. Now, this trend line, this white trend line here, to me is very, very interesting. So that is drawn from the top of the previous bull market, and when we draw it through, it lines up with all of these different support levels. So when we initially ran up to 40K, came back down to 29K, we found that support there. Those were wicks that bounced off of there. We closed above on all of these wicks back from the summertime of 2021. We closed above that white line on all of these wicks, and so that was about 31,000. Now we wicked and bounced off of it again, and we so far are still closing above it. So I think if we are able to hold above this ascending line of support, really from way back in the last bull run, that's the peak of the last bull run, and we've been holding this for quite a while now, I think we are still in good shape, because when you still zoom out to the monthly, and when in doubt, zoom out, right, we are technically still in an uptrend. So on the monthly time frame at least, we are technically still in an uptrend. There's one move, we pull back down, we make a slightly higher high, and we could be making a slightly higher low right here. So we could be bouncing around in that sort of range. I mean, it's a big range, but really we are range bound when you look at it between about 60 to 65K and roughly 31K. So as long as we are in these ranges, we're still technically, in my opinion, bullish. However, it doesn't look great, obviously, right? We weren't sure if this was going to hold, and this could have been the parabolic run, which it was quite parabolic. We weren't sure if that was going to hold. It did, and likewise here, it doesn't feel like we're going to hold, but you never know. We could, but I do know that it's going to come down to, shouldn't say I know, it feels like it's going to come down way more to the news and what's going on there, because like I said, there are some similarities, and one thing that never changes is people's emotions. So we're always going to have emotional people in this market who, panic sell or FOMO in, whatever ends up happening, that is going to get accentuated. And as well, I mean, there's obviously over leveraged positions as well, which we've talked about before. Once certain amount of leveraged positions get either wiped out going long or going short, then there's kind of that cascading effect as well, and that either drags the market down or up. There could be, that's what a long squeeze or a short squeeze is. Obviously, we have 3 red months in a row here, just like we did back in spring into summer of 2021. So in order to not have another red month, we would need to get back up here at around $46,000-ish, I think, which may seem like a tall ask, but futures are expiring on the 28th here of January. And the max pain price, when we come and look at this website here, you can come and check this out after, max pain price is 45K. So max pain price means the price that would liquidate the most amount of longs and shorts, or basically the price that would cause the most pain in the market. So right now, if most people are shorting the market and they are saying that it is, going to go way down, 45K is the price that would liquidate the most amount of shorts. So if we were able to buy Friday of this week push on back up to 45K, liquidates a lot of those short positions perhaps. We do get that kind of short squeeze, and then the price starts to absolutely go nuts. I don't know where it would necessarily go to, but we could see some big time volatility leading up to Friday and then through the weekend. Weekends are always, I know I've always gotten wrecked on weekends when I've traded, so I've kind of stepped away from weekend trading because it's just never served me very well. But that is what I could foresee happening for the rest of this week. And being that max pain price there, that's, I think, what a lot of people are going to be looking at. So personally, I have been able to make a few moves and buy a little bit more at these prices, because this could be the best prices we get for a little while. It also could go way lower. So dollar cost averaging into these dips I've always advocated for, because we don't know if it's going to go any lower, but it could. So getting some now, I do think, is a very good option, because even on, like I said, the daily and weekly time frames for RSI, we are oversold. And anytime we are oversold on these metrics, or the momentum wave is way down here, which we haven't been for a long time, you'll see when the other best chances were to buy when the wave was way down here was back in spring and summer, like I said, of 2021, and also back here when we were in the C dump, and back here. So every time that we've swung down here and gotten oversold on the weekly chart especially, it hasn't been the worst time to buy. So it also matters if you're thinking about this long term. Like if you're thinking about trading this short term, then maybe it isn't. But if you're thinking more of a long term approach, this definitely is not a bad time to buy, in my personal opinion. And then, of course, keeping some on the sidelines for if we do go down further. That, I think, is just a smart way of approaching this, and that's personally what I'm deciding to do. Shorter term, I am obviously expecting this bounce here, since we have come way down and we did get that green dot there. We are getting a bounce, of course, and this is one of those green dots that showed me to go long. So I did put a long position, a small long position, in right at around 35K when we bounced off of this descending trend line as well. There's kind of a lot of different lines of support coming in there. So I did put in a long at about 35K and went again pretty high leverage because I was pretty confident in that, and we are up a decent amount on that trade at this point in time. So that felt pretty good. And then obviously we don't know what's going to happen after this. We are kind of in this descending channel. This is on the daily, so we could range all the way back up here. There's a bunch of lines of resistance up here rated around 40, 41K. And so that is where I could see this rally potentially peaking out. In order to get back to flip bullish on the daily time frame at least, we would need to get back up above this last high here of about 44,000 and make a higher high there to show that we've kind of come up and out of it. We could potentially be forming here potentially, this is obviously far from being completed, but a inverse head and shoulders here. If we do come there, come down, come back up, form another little shoulder there, that could potentially be an inverse head and shoulder, but we need to wait and see how that plays out, because that is obviously far from happening just yet. So there are my thoughts on the market. I will also do a quick update here on my 1K to 10K swing trading challenge. I'm realizing now that I think I forgot to post this in my Telegram group. I am very sorry. But I did mention to you guys that Onino was doing a launch over the weekend, and I am partnered with them, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about anything that I'm talking about here. But I did hop in on their launch, and so I moved everything out of Cross Wallet and Dhive, and I moved it into Onino for launch, and it turned out to be pretty darn good. So I have obviously a little bit of BNB in there for fees and stuff like that, but I was able to get a hold of about 1,500 Onino tokens at roughly 20-ish cents. So we have doubled up on what I had in there. So I had roughly $300 in there, was able to double that up. And so that brings us to slightly positive in this challenge, which, I mean, when the markets are crashing, being slightly positive is not a bad idea. I know it obviously looks like I'm up way more. That's just because I got rid of the Dhive and Cross Wallet, and so it looked like I went way down and then way up. But started this challenge with 800 US dollars. Here, I'll switch it to Canadian, because I started this challenge with 1,000 Canadian dollars, and it was roughly 800 Canadian at the time. So started this challenge with 1,000 Canadian dollars. We are up a very small percentage. Well, just flip there to be even more. So there you go. Price wise, Canadian, we are at about $1,086. So that is up not a ton. Obviously, that's what, like 8%. So nothing major, 8 to 9%. When the market's going down, I will take it. In regards to Anino, we kind of are forming this ascending wedge here. So I am potentially looking to get out of Anino, because these have a higher likelihood of breaking to the downside. However, I am obviously very happy with that double, so I might take it out and move on to something else. In my main portfolio, I did buy some more Anino and am staking that for some passive income. This is more of a long-term project as well. So I played it for the short term for my 1K to 10K swing trading challenge. I am playing it more long-term for my main portfolio and staking, because this isn't something that I am really thinking is going to take off too crazy until 2023, which is when they're hoping to have their whole functionality up and running. So we will wait and see. And like I said, that's more of a long-term hold and stake for me for the swing trading purposes. It obviously did pretty darn well. And my 1K to 10K staking challenge, which you probably all know by now. You've probably heard a million videos or watched a million videos on Time Wonderland and Hector. Well, Time Wonderland, I'm sure. Hector DAO, maybe not so much. But Time Wonderland is down quite a bit. Obviously, by looking at just my portfolio in and of itself, down 60% on that. Not looking very good for a lot of these DAOs. They, of course, were very new and were very risky, and tried to make sure to tell you all, regardless, this is, something that I'm experimenting with. This $1,000 that I have is not anything that I personally need in order to, pay for everything that I need to live from day to day. So wasn't risking the farm on anything like this, but it was a very risky play from the start. Who knows, they could rebound, but these are also very, very new. And typically the riskier or the newer something is, the riskier it is as well. So I was just going through this as an experiment. Obviously, they had super high APYs. Anytime we have super high APYs, I do not feel like those are very sustainable. But tried to make sure that you guys, tried to let you know that was my thought process through this whole thing. And so hopefully if you guys were in early on Time Wonderland or any of these other ones, you were able to make a profit and then leverage or decrease your risk and pull out your initial investment, which I've always advocated for. And then now we are obviously just going to chill. I guess this challenge is not really doing anything, because this is what was the plan all along. Just hold and stake and see what happens to it, because there were some pretty good APYs obviously, and we are not doing nearly as well as we would have wanted to. The one thing that is positive for me anyway, in regards to Hector DAO, which is always good, is they are still constantly working on things. So it's not like they have got up and left. The whole market's down as a whole, of course, and so that could be playing into this stuff. But they are constantly doing stuff. They've rolled out Hector Bank, making some more investments for the DAO. They've just completed their CERTIC audit, which is always a good thing as well, that it is completed, and being very transparent with the community as always. So the DAO has not gone anywhere. They're still being very active, which is good, like I said, and we will need to see if the cryptocurrency markets turn around as a whole, see what happens to these DAOs. For now, nothing's happening here, just chilling. So that is it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and if you got some value out of this video, please scroll on down, leave this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and click that little notification bell and select all, so you get notified when I post these new videos and updates. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and I'll see you next time on the next episode from the Crypto Cabin.